Hi, I'm Alyssa, and this is
Riley.
Riley. Do you know anyone who struggles with alcohol addiction?
Yes.
Okay. And have you known anyone who was under the age of 18 with an alcohol addiction?
Yes.
And how did it affect them mentally and socially?
Mentally, it definitely messed with their head. Like, they just made them overthink. And, like, if they were not drinking all the time, or like in a social setting or something like that, they were always just struggling, like, with the idea of like they need more, they want more. Just an active thing always in their head.
Okay. And do they still struggle with the effects of their alcohol abuse?
Yes and no. Them being around it definitely is a struggle. Always fighting the temptations of if they want to go back into it or not. But now they're in a much better place, putting full trust in God and just letting Him take all the desires away.
Thank you. As we learned from our interview, alcohol does impact us socially and mentally, whether that be anger issues building up or just anxiety all the time. And many people turn to alcohol for a coping mechanism, use it as a way to maybe deal with depression or stress, anxiety, or other very difficult feelings that they may experience. Try to challenge yourself to use other coping mechanisms. These coping mechanisms may include self care, healthy communication with others, maybe a therapist. Stress management also could be therapy. Coping skills are very important in your early education, and people who don't learn them early in life struggle with communication, social skills, and with mental issues. When you use good coping skills, your risk of relapse decreases when you face difficult situations or setbacks. I'm here with.
Gary George.
Do you know anyone who struggles with alcohol addiction?
Yeah, I had a friend for years that struggled with it, and he still struggles to it this day. With it this to this day.
Okay. Have you known anyone who had an alcohol addiction under the age of 18?
Yes.
Okay. And how did it affect them mentally and socially?
Um, it affected their mood. They had mood swings. It affected just their just everyday um, stuff in life. Yeah.
And I assume that if they had mood swings, people didn't want to hang out with them as much. Mhm. Right. And do they still struggle with the effects of their alcohol abuse?
I think so. I think they ended up getting a divorce once they got older and got married. I think they ended up being divorced on account of it. So, and I think they still drink.
Okay. As we saw from our second interview, drinking underage can cause mood swings, which directly correlates with our brain. So I'm going to go over the key developmental stages of our brain. From the ages 0 to 5, your brain grows rapidly and reaches about 90% of its adult size by the age of 5. But even then, it's still not fully developed. From the ages 6 to 25, your brain continues developing, and this is a time for it to really focus on fine tuning connections and myelination. From the ages 25 to 30, your brain reaches its peak structural maturity, and some refinements will continue into the mid 30s. Drinking alcohol not only has a short term effect, but it also has long term effects. Drinking alcohol has significant and lasting effects on the brain. It impairs cognitive function, memory, and behavior, and it increases your risk of brain damage and other health problems. And for underage drinkers, your brain is more vulnerable to the harmful effects of alcohol than the adult brain, and it leads to potential long term cognitive, emotional, and behavioral consequences. So before you make the decision to drink, think of not only the short term effects, but the long term effects. And if you or someone you know is struggling with alcohol addiction or alcohol abuse, call the number 988.